On Christmas Eve 2002, Laci Peterson, 8 months pregnant, disappeared from her home in Modesto, California. Her husband, Scott Peterson, claimed he had gone fishing. Months later, her body, and that of her unborn son, Connor, were found in San Francisco Bay. He was convicted in 2004. But more than 20 years later, new investigations, scientific reviews, and legal groups are calling the case back into court. Did investigators crack this case fairly? What evidence held up, and what new leads might change public view or the verdict? In this video, I'll walk you through 1. The disappearance and how the investigation started. 2. The key evidence used in the trial. 3. How the trial unfolded and the verdict. 4. The appeals and recent legal developments. 5. What new evidence or claims have emerged and what they might mean. Let's begin. The disappearance and investigation begins. On December 24, 2002, Laci Peterson vanished. She was 27, 8 months pregnant, expecting their first child, Connor. Scott Peterson claimed he went fishing at the Berkeley Marina that morning. But when Laci didn't come home, her family raised alarm. Investigators entered the home. Her purse, wallet, keys were still there, things she would likely have taken if she left voluntarily. Immediately, police treated it as a missing person case. They spoke with neighbors, searched hospitals, and checked phone records. The case got nationwide attention. Many people offered help. Volunteers searched fields, riverbanks, the coast. Detectives felt pressure, the public wanted answers. During this early stage, they also started looking at Scott's story, his alibis, phone logs, behavior. A key early clue: other relationships and lies. Amber Frey, a massage therapist, came forward and said she had been in a relationship with Scott. He told her he had lost his wife. She recorded calls with him. Her cooperation would become a central piece in the unfolding case. Investigators also started physical searches. Scott's boat and truck were checked, materials around the property were scrutinized. The search expanded as more leads came in. Bodies were still missing at that point. They had to rely on clues, some small, many circumstantial. This set the stage for the prosecution's case later. The evidence, what they found. In order for prosecutors to convict someone in a case like this, evidence must link the suspect to the crime in more ways than one. Here are the main pieces investigators used. 1. Amber Frey and recorded calls. Amber's relationship with Scott, her observations, and the recordings she made were used to show that Scott was misleading people, lying, and that his behavior after Laci's disappearance was suspicious. These recordings also suggested motive, or at least one reason Scott wanted to hide something. 2. Physical and forensic evidence. Hair found on Scott's boat, tested via mitochondrial DNA, said to be consistent with Laci's. Materials such as concrete or anchor-like substances in his garage, which might have been used to weigh down a body. The boat itself, experts testified about whether it was possible Scott used it to transport a body, how weight would shift, stability, etc. 3. Location, movement and timing. Investigators carefully looked at where Scott said he was, what times, his travel, whether witness sightings matched, and whether boat activity or travel to and from the bay could have happened in the timeline the prosecution proposed. There were also phone records, possibly purchases, etc. 4. Search and discovery of the bodies. In April 2003, Laci's body and later Connor's remains washed up near shores of San Francisco Bay. These finds allowed for autopsies. But decomposition had advanced, making precise time of death estimates difficult. Still, these remains were crucial. Without them, it'd be harder to prove that she was killed. 5. Absence of alternative explanations. Investigators and the prosecution also pointed out what they did not find. For example, no definitive eyewitness, no sign of forced entry, in some reports, limited direct forensic evidence inside the Peterson home or the truck. But they argued that the circumstantial picture, when taken together, made the alternative explanations improbable. Putting all of these pieces together, motive, affair, lie, physical clues, movement, and discovery, formed the backbone of the prosecution's case. Trial, verdict and sentence. The case went to trial in 2004. Because of how much media attention the case had in Modesto, the trial was moved to San Mateo County to find a less biased jury. The trial lasted several months and involved many witnesses, experts, forensic scientists. Evidence like the boat hair, Amber Frey's recordings, the concrete material, timing all got explored. On November 12, 2004, Scott Peterson was found guilty of first-degree murder for Laci and second-degree murder for unborn son Connor. He was sentenced to death. Following conviction, the defense presented challenges about the evidence, that mitochondrial DNA is less precise, that the physical evidence had alternate explanations, that some of the timeline was speculative, that no direct eyewitness saw him kill Laci, etc. But the jury found beyond reasonable doubt that Scott was guilty. In 2020, California Supreme Court overturned Scott Peterson's death sentence. They found problems in the jury selection process. Some potential jurors who said they opposed the death penalty were removed without enough inquiry into whether they could nevertheless follow law. That led to Lewis's death sentence being vacated. In December 2021, he was resentenced to life without possibility of parole. Appeals and recent legal developments. For years, Scott Peterson and his legal team have filed appeals. Most were unsuccessful. But in 2024, a major shift occurred. The Los Angeles Innocence Project, LAIP, took up the case. They claim they have uncovered new evidence that challenges crucial parts of the prosecution's case. Some key legal developments. In January 2024, LAIP officially took representation. They filed for new hearings, new discovery, new DNA testing on certain items. One judge allowed DNA testing on one particular item, a piece of duct tape found on Laci's pants when her body was recovered. Other requested items, many more, were denied. LAIP's petition argues that the jury relied on false or misleading scientific evidence, that some evidence was withheld, that the date of death of Connor, the unborn child, was misassessed. They also claim witness statements were not heard at trial, and that a burglary across the street from Peterson's home around the time of Laci's disappearance was not properly considered. A judge granted some post-conviction discovery in late 2024, allowing LAIP's defense team access to previously undisclosed evidence which defense claims was unfairly withheld. But not all of LAIP's requests have succeeded. Many pieces have been denied or dropped. The appeals court denied a large petition in 2025, although the process continues. These legal developments raise questions. Were all scientific tools used fairly? Were all witnesses heard? Was the jury presented a full picture? Could modern forensic technology change interpretations? New evidence, claims, and what they mean. This part deals with what new leads have emerged and what their potential may be. 1. Scientific/forensic re-review. The LAIP is challenging/claiming that the original scientific evidence, for example, some testimony about the critical scientific evidence in the trial, was false or misleading. There is a fetal biometry review. Experts working now argue that Connor, the unborn son, may have died later than originally thought. That shifts the timeline. If the child died later, that can affect whether certain actions Scott claimed to take, or not take, match up. 2. New witness statements and unheard leads. Statements from people who say they saw Laci alive later than the prosecution claimed. Reports about a burglary across from the Peterson home on the day Laci disappeared. Investigators originally discounted this burglary's connection. LAIP now argues it was relevant and should have been more fully investigated and disclosed. 3. Retesting of evidence. As mentioned, duct tape on Laci's pants has been permitted for DNA retesting. Defense sought DNA testing on many items, nearly 600 in some reports, but most requests were denied. O. Concern over missing or destroyed evidence, evidence that defense claims was not preserved, that records are incomplete. That matters because if evidence is mishandled or lost, fairness claims arise. 4. Court filings and public statements. OLAIP filed a writ of habeas corpus in April 2025 with new evidence. They claimed the prosecution's case was based on scientifically flawed evidence. Media and documentaries, for example, Face to Face with Scott Peterson, in 2024, have brought renewed public attention, possibly yielding additional witnesses or public pressure. 5. What these claims mean. If the jurors had heard some of this new evidence, it's possible, though not certain, they might have found reasonable doubt in one or more of the key parts of the prosecution's case. However, legal standards are high, it's not enough to show some flaws or missing pieces, one must show that the errors or new evidence are significant enough to have likely changed the outcome. Also, new evidence doesn't always lead to exoneration, but it may lead to a new trial, or possibly lower sentence, or public reassessment. The Laci Peterson case is complex. Investigators early on gathered many small clues: the affair, the boat hair, timing, witness statements. The trial wove them together, convincing a jury beyond a reasonable doubt. Over time, legal errors, such as jury selection issues, were identified, leading to the overturning of the death sentence.